Friday is a crucial day for determining if Terry McLaurin will be available to play the Cowboys on Sunday. But according to one NFL insider, he's not days away. He is still weeks away from being ready to go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we are here to discuss another Terry McLaurin update. Felt like we couldn't get enough of him during the offseason. And now a potential forecast that Terry is not even close to getting back out on the field. That's what one Commanders reporter had to say about it. Guys, we are going to jump into that in just a moment. But as I always say, if you're enjoying the content, we have multiple daily uploads going out every day. We have daily live streams now all of a sudden. Came from nowhere, but last 3 days we've had the live streams. Make sure you leave a like on this video. Shows me that you do appreciate all the content that is coming out. Yes, we're back talking about Terry McLaurin, and I promise you guys, I try not to bang the same drum. I try not to beat a dead horse. Anytime I talk about the same person or the same subject multiple times, I always try to bring new information to the table. Well, we do have new information. So a shout out to Rio Robinson. This is a clip from his YouTube channel. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, know who I'm talking about. One of the biggest Commanders content creators we have. On his channel, again, Rio Robinson, he was interviewing NFL insider and analyst Lake Lewis Jr. And unfortunately, the question of Terry McLaurin came up, and here's what Lake Lewis Jr. had to say about it. Quote, "I don't see him ready over the next 2 games, not just Sunday, the next 2 games. So that would be this Sunday at Dallas and then Monday at the Chiefs. So 8 days later. So that would be, 11 days in the future from now." Back to what Lake Lewis Jr. said. Quote, "If he doesn't play against Kansas City, we're going to have to really start asking the question, does he need to be shut down?" This comes off of the heels of yesterday's practice update. Now, DQ had said on Wednesday that Thursday would be a good indicator of where players were in their recovery process, in their ability to get back out on the field on Sunday. He had said that specifically talking about Dorrance Armstrong, but the principle of what he said applies. Dorrance, by the way, did not practice yesterday either. So that's not the best sign in the world. But while DQ had said, hey, Thursday is the day to look at, it's a speed practice. We're going to see how guys feel. What's their level of comfort? We didn't get to see that with Terry McLaurin. It's not like he went through the practice and he was slow, he was achy, didn't look sharp, re-aggravated something. He didn't practice at all. So think about it this way. If you go to school and you take a test and you fail, that's very different from not showing up to take the test at all. At least you were there. At least you wrote the answers on the paper and the teacher found out you didn't know what you were talking about. You had to show the report to your parents when you came home. It's very different from just not showing up at all. So for Terry have not to taken what is essentially the test to see if you can play on Sunday, I'm to assume this report from Lake Lewis here, again from Rio Robinson's YouTube channel, I'm to assume that is valid. Because let's say Terry did go through the speed practice. Let's say he did go through it. He was a full participant. He becomes a game time decision. Okay, if he doesn't play on Sunday, I can look at him going through full speed practices and say, my guess is he will be back the following week. He will be back for the Chiefs game. He was close, just missed out in this one. If he's not taking the test at all, if he's not putting his body out there to see if he can even withstand whatever it is they would have him do, that probably means he knows what the outcome is going to be. He knows that either he's not ready or he's at risk of re-aggravating the injury if he goes out there and he tries. So while I might have some confidence he could play on next Monday if he had been at that practice yesterday, because he wasn't there, I don't think he's playing this weekend. And like Lake Lewis, I would be surprised if he does play against the Chiefs. So this brings us back to a recent conversation topic that's been pretty popular. What can we trust that this coaching staff tells us? Terry McLaurin didn't end up on IR. Originally, it was thought maybe it could just be a 1-week thing. Hey, we're going to try. We're going to try to get him back for the Falcons. Of course we are. We're going to try to get him back for the Chargers. Don't put him on IR. Now, with where we're at in this whole process, that whole situation of Terry seeking the second opinions, then seeking the third opinions, He was going to an abdominal specialist in Philadelphia. All that stuff suddenly now seems much more of what it normally looks like. Normally, when you seek a second opinion, it's because your first doctor told you suffered a season-ending injury and you just want to go get that confirmed. Not saying Terry did suffer a season-ending injury, but normally you don't get second opinions for minor injuries, for 1 week injuries, for injuries that might not even cause you to miss any time at all. This whole second opinion stuff, Terry's about to miss his 4th game if he doesn't play on Sunday. So already that is IR worthy. When you go on IR, you have to miss a minimum of 4 games. So already we're crossing that threshold. If he doesn't play again against the Chiefs on a long week with 8 days of rest, let's think about the second opinion thing. It suddenly starts to look a lot more clear. I was talking with someone in the comments, and my apologies, I don't remember who it was. There have been so many comments on the recent videos, which I fully and deeply appreciate. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying here. Just saying that I feel bad. I don't remember your name. I was having a conversation with somebody in the comments, and they said that maybe it is a quad injury after all because those things can tend to linger around. And that caused me to think, when the initial reports came out, Terry had a quad injury. I was the one saying, I don't know how true that is because from the way it's being framed, watching Terry pop up off the field, just what's going on, it seems probably more like a hip flexor injury to me. He went to the abdominal specialist, but not only did they deal with core muscles, they also dealt with the hip. And then it came out that the team is calling it a quad injury, but it is actually a hip flexor injury. Now, if Terry is out this 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, hip flexors, in my experience, don't tend to linger that long. It does seem as if a quad injury, which is where we started this whole story at, it does seem as if that's more likely. I know I've got a couple of doctors that follow the channel here. So if you are listening to this, please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. I know you're speaking from an outside perspective, but could a hip flexor injury linger like this? Is it easy to re-aggravate it? Let me know. And whatever detail I get from that, I will pin it in the comment section below. So if you are watching this video, make sure you check the comments, see if we have an update from any doctors out there. So I would say this. Today is Friday. This is normally the day of the week where DQ rules out players who don't have a chance to play. If they're truly a game time decision, he will say they're questionable. He did it with Debo before the Bears game. And Debo hasn't been practicing this week. My understanding of that situation is Debo is banged up. He's got a heel problem. He's probably not going to practice all that much. He'll probably be playing in every game unless it gets worse. That's my understanding of that. So don't expect Debo to get ruled out. If he does, that's a very big story. Someone like Debo, you're probably going to hear, we're going to put him through the warm-up on Sunday and we'll figure it out. If Terry is actually not close to returning, DQ should tell us today. He should say, you already know what he's going to say too. He was really hitting the markers. I've been so impressed by the way he's getting after it, man. And you can tell he's a real competitor. He wants to get out there as badly as he can, but just haven't seen quite enough from him this week. So we're going to hold him out and try to get back to it next week. Terry doesn't play. If we find that out, I guarantee you that's what DQ is going to say in those words exactly. So I understand the frustration with Terry overall. Don't get me wrong. I'm frustrated as hell too. But to anyone out there who's saying this is a money grab sort of deal, Terry got lazy. Terry's not making money if he's not on the field. And if he gets moved to IR, he loses a lot more money. I shouldn't say he's not making money if he's not on the field. That's not true. As long as he's on the active roster, he's getting his game checks. If he does get moved to IR, he's going to lose his $850,000 per game check. He's also, it's basically going to be impossible for him to hit his performance-based incentives, which are 1,097 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 75 receptions, I think. He can get $300,000 for each one of those that he achieves, and the bonuses, I believe, double if the Commanders make the playoffs. So Terry's not sitting out just to rub the team's face in it, to rub the fans' face in it, anything like that. I get it's frustrating. Let's not deviate from what is logical to say our frustrations with Terry are. This isn't some sort of money grab. No, Terry is losing money by not being there. But if he has suffered this long-term injury, once again, I just have to ask the question of the coaching staff, of Adam Peters as well, because he's involved in these decisions, of the medical department. How do we not have a better grasp of this? how does Noah Brown not get put on IR for 4 games and then he gets put on IR? So it's a minimum 2-month injury for him. With Terry here, what looked like a 1, 2, maybe 3 week sort of injury, that's what you would assume, less than 4 weeks. Otherwise, why not just put them on IR? This will be his 4th week. And then the report from Lake Lewis there is that he's still at least a couple of weeks away. Does he get put on IR? And if that happens, how is the coaching staff not ahead of this? Can they tell us a re-aggravation did happen at practice? They said a re-aggravation did not happen with Noah Brown. If it did happen, can you just be honest and show some transparency? Can we get an explanation as to why this is happening? Probably not. They'll probably protect the locker room, which I'm not mad at them for doing, but boy, is it frustrating not being able to take these coaches at their word. So with Terry potentially being out, I don't know. Let's just assume a world in which Terry gets moved to IR. So he's out for at least another 4 weeks. Noah Brown out for at least another 4 weeks. Debo injured, had 4 catches for 15 yards against the Bears. We are at a point where we're just out of bodies. Luke and Lane are going to be your top 2 receivers. You've seen Chris Moore become a volume receiver. Tay Martin has already been elevated 3 times. They've run out of practice squad elevations for him. They elevated Ja'Cory Brooks for the last game. Treylon Burks, who we just signed, the report was expect him to get elevated quickly. I've been on this channel for the last week or two saying I don't really want the Commanders to make trades because you need to stockpile your future draft assets. Plus, this team is not in a position to contend right now. But at the same time, I don't want to see Jayden Daniels go out there with 4 or 5 practice squad receivers, which is what he did last week, and that's what he's probably going to do for the foreseeable future. You have to at least try to remain competitive and at least get the team to believe they're trying to win games. Let Jayden continue to grow. He's still only in his 2nd year. Let's not talk about Jayden like he's an 8-year polished veteran who can get through anything. As impressive as he is, he's still trying to grow in his career. He's still trying to get better. So where I'm at with this, and this is assuming Terry gets moved to IR, not saying that is happening, no reports of it just yet. If we do end up in that reality, at that point, I wouldn't hate it if the Commanders swung for the fences and went and got Jaylen Waddle. You would have to include some players because from a raw picks perspective, I don't want to eat into the future that heavily. But I was looking at some of the numbers of Jaylen Waddle, and it was encouraging to see how it could work for the Commanders if they can get to that point where they get him on the team. Let me run you through it. So Jaylen Waddle, former 6th pick in the draft, only 26 years old. Really good numbers. First 3 years in the league, he hits 1,000 yards in all of them. Tyreek Hill joins the team. He gets banged up last year. Tua gets banged up as well. He only has 700 yards. Not doing well this year, but I'm not going to fault him because that Tua and that Dolphins offense, they're just pathetic right now. Waddle's still a very good receiver at 26 years old. His contract structure is particularly interesting. His cap hit this year is only for $8 million. Next year, it's only $11.7 million. Now, because of his extension, it does rise to $33 million and then $37 million in 27 and 28. That's also when Terry McLaurin's contract switches over. It's like I think it's an 18-something million dollar hit this year and next year. And then in 2027, it rises to $35 million. However, the team baked in a potential out for $18 million if they were to cut him before the 27 season. So considering Waddle and Terry's contracts switch over at the same time, all that needs to happen is before the 27 season, you try to trade Terry. Heck, I think you tried to trade Terry this offseason. So if you don't get that done, he's still on the team in 26. Then before 27, all you have to do is trade him literally for a 7th round pick. And that's going to reduce the cap hit. Or if you can't find a trade partner, you cut him, pay the $18 million penalty, which sucks, obviously. But that's when Waddle's cap hit increases. And at that point, Terry would be 32 years old in 2027. Waddle would still only be 28. Now, the question is, what do you have to give up to get him? Dolphins are going to want a high pick and a player. I saw one of these fan websites say that the Giants could offer Kayvon Thibodeau and a 1st-round pick. Lots of reports the Giants want to be aggressive in pursuing help for Jackson Dart, help him grow. So that could happen, and the Giants have the means to offer that sort of package. The question is, what do the Commanders have that is equally attractive? Or if we're saying Thibodeau in a first is probably overshooting it a little, maybe it's Thibodeau in a third, Thibodeau in a second, something like that. How can the Commanders get to that level? Brandon Coleman, a name that I've brought up before, if you can package Coleman in a second, if you can package Coleman and maybe even a 27, maybe a 28 first, is that something you would do? For the price of a first, I would probably say no. For a second, I could definitely be talked into it. If it's Deron Payne and a third or a fourth, would you do that? Again, Payne's contract, it's going to be pretty expensive after this season. I don't know what the long-term vision is for the Commanders building out this roster, but I do know they drafted Johnny Newton in the second round, and I do know they paid Javon Kinlaw a decent amount of money, so they should have their two tackles right there. You don't draft somebody in the second round for them to play backup. That's just the way that I see it. And we also know the Commanders have paid a lot of money to their defensive tackles for the past however many years, and that hasn't always worked out. In fact, it has rarely worked out for them. So could they look to shake things up? Now, it would create other issues as well, because the two most injured rooms on the Commanders right now are the receivers and the defensive line. So if you get rid of Payne for Waddle, well, now you've got a problem with the defensive line. But again, Waddle is 26 years old. You are getting younger. We're at that stage. If Terry's on IR, if Noah's on IR, if Debo is injured, I don't want to send Jaden Daniels out there to die. I don't want to send him out there to die with 4 to 5 practice squad players every week. So this is a target that I would potentially be interested in, depending on the updates for Terry. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Make sure you go to the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this entire ordeal. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're new around here as well. And as I always say, I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.